Hello, welcome to Duncan Egg Bricks and to a LEGO Marvel Superheroes Infinity War set review. This is set number 76193, The Guardian's Ship. Now, before we start to take a look at this set, I would just like to give a shout out to an unnamed person who has become my first ever patron on Patreon, which is absolutely amazing. Set my Patreon up just because I thought it was something that, you were supposed to do, really. Not really expecting anybody to take me up on it. So thank you very much to that person. They did want to remain anonymous, but I thought I would thank them publicly anyway. If you do want to support me, then links to my Patreon are in the description below. Of course, it's absolutely optional. Like I said, never expected anybody to actually take me up on that, but if you do want to go ahead and support me, that would be absolutely incredible. Right, anyway, on to the review of the set in front of you. So this is called the Guardian's Ship, but in universe it's really called the Benetar, which is the successor to the Milano, which was destroyed twice, first of all in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then again in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So this is the ship we find the Guardians in at the beginning, or at least when they first turn up in Avengers Infinity War, and it takes the Guardians and the Avengers through various different bits of adventure in Avengers Endgame as well. Not sure, no, I was about to say it might have been destroyed at the end of that, but no, because we see Thor leaving in it at the end of it, hence the Thor minifigure. And speaking of minifigs, I think before we go ahead and look at this enormous set, we should take a look at those figs. As this is the Guardian's ship, we of course get some of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Unfortunately, not all of them in this set, which I think is a bit of an oversight. But anyway, here are the first two. On the left, we have an updated version of Peter Quill, or Star-Lord, and then on the right, we have Mantis. So this Peter Quill is quite similar in some ways to previous versions of the character, but has been updated. You can see he's got the dark red and black dual moulded legs representing his boots there. He's got his jacket based off the Ravager's design, and his head is actually using the same head as Owen Grady from Jurassic World, which of course makes complete sense as both of them are Chris Pratt characters. Chris Pratt in fact has 3 Lego minifigures, the other one being Emmett from the Lego movie, although I don't think that face would have been as suitable here. He actually uses a different hairpiece from his previous appearances. This is the Superman hair with the little curl just coming in front of him there, but I think that actually looks perfect. Comes with his blasters, which are specific to him, and they're a great mold. I've not had that piece before. He does have an alternate face where he looks a little bit angry or possibly even grumpy, but yeah, definitely prefer the smirk on the other side. That is perfect for Owen Grady and for Peter Quill. Mantis here is it's only the second time that she's come in a set. I think this is a slightly different version, but not too different. She's got plain black legs, quite a nice simple torso design in dark green with flesh coloured arms, and then has this piece of hairpiece rather, which looks like it should be dual molded but actually isn't. Also looks like her head is part of that. It's a rubbery piece, hence why it's a bit tricky to get off. There we go. It's actually a black piece which has then had some paint applied. It's a pretty good colour match for the flesh tone, so that's good. You can just see where the colour ends and the black hairpiece begins, but that looks really nice. The headpiece underneath is not exclusive. I think it was actually used for Bellatrix Lestrange in the Burrow set, and I don't think that was the original time it was used either. So yeah, that face looks okay. That one is not really suitable. Mantis doesn't tend to get angry in that particular way, but you know what, the other headpiece is fairly decent as far as it goes. So yep, 2 good figures to start us off. Now, those might have been good figures, but I would say that these two are exceptional. These are more of the Guardians, and in fact they're the last Guardians we get in the set. On the left is Rocket Raccoon, and on the right is Groot in his teenage guise. The Rocket minifig has been updated. That is a new headpiece, I should say, for this set. It doesn't come with the shoulder pads. It's arguable whether the shoulder pads were more or less accurate, but this one looks great with the reddish-brown base colour. Fantastic printing for his muzzle and around his eyes. It's also got a bit of a cheeky smile, which you can't quite see from the top there. I think that actually improves the character massively, looking at it like that versus like that. Got his goggles printed on top of his head as well. He also comes with a reddish-brown tail piece on the back there, which is unprinted. Possibly could have done with a bit of printing around the front to disguise that reddish-brown, but you could always imagine it's part of his belt. Comes with good printing on the front of the torso and good printing on the back, showing his scarf. And he comes with a large brick-built weapon, which makes him completely overbalanced, but for once in LEGO weapons is probably about right scale, given his penchant for huge weapons. Comes with a printed keypad on the back there. And then on the right, we have got Teen Groot. This is using the same head mould as the previous version of this character, although this time it is in dark tan rather than reddish brown. It's arguable whether either of those is really correct. I suppose this one is probably more correct. Comes with fantastic printing all down the front of his torso, hips, legs, and on the toes as well. And of course, printing on the back of the torso too. Would have been fantastic to get some arm printing as well, but you know, this is pretty good. Comes with a sort of smirking expression, which looks pretty nice, and some sand green printing up top, which is a nice addition. This headpiece, I keep saying hairpiece, this headpiece is actually really great. It kind of starts off at the bottom as if it's going to be a normal minifigure head, and then fans out into this tree design at the top. So it's a great piece, and hopefully we will see that piece again when the next Guardians film comes out, or even for Thor: Love and Thunder, if the Guardians pop up in that in a major way. Okay, on to the last two figures of the set. I would class these as probably the most disappointing figures of the set, though that's not to say they're bad. On the left we have got Bro Thor, or Bro Thor in his armour, and on the right we have got a Chitauri warrior. Now, Thor is still a pretty damn good figure, I have to say. I still don't know whether I really 100% and behind the hairpiece and the printing. I would really have loved to have a brand new hair beard piece combo, which would have really worked, although then maybe they would have had to do two versions of that, one for when he's you know, really down, and then another one for when he you know, armors up at the end of Avengers Endgame. But anyway, it looks pretty decent. It's a double-sided head again, so we can spin that round. He's got an expression with lightning on it, and we just have to remove the Chitauri's weapon for a second. There we go, and that gets nicely framed up using the hairpiece there. I think they're actually using this headpiece again for the Thor: Love and Thunder stuff. Fairly simple design, just with the circles on his armour that we're used to. Dark metallic arms, black legs. Of course, comes with a brick-built Stormbreaker, which looks pretty decent. Cape with a single hole, but once you pop the hairpiece on, that's not going to go anywhere. Now, while the Thor minifigure is not disappointing, it's just not as special as the other figures, and similar figures to this, in fact, I think identical figures have appeared in several other sets. The Chitauri is also in several other sets, and really doesn't belong in this set either. I can understand if this was based on a scene from Endgame that took place during 2012 and the Chitauri invasion, but as far as a villain from either Infinity War or Endgame, this doesn't really make a lot of sense, and it's also not helped by the fact that it is A, the only bad character in this set, i.e. the only villainous character, and B, there is only one of them. It's that kind of conflict in a box thing, which is really strange for this set, considering that it's, you know, entirely devoted to one massive ship for the good guys, and it doesn't really feel like it should include any conflict or anything like that. Nevertheless, it's a pretty decent figure. It's got some great printing. The Chitauri design has been improving slowly since the first range of sets were unveiled back in 2012. Good printing for the face, nice printing for the torso, but no printing on the legs. Right, that was as quick as I could get through the minifigs. Let's get on to the actual build. Now, as you will have seen at the beginning of the video, I had to pull the camera back quite a bit in order to get this model into shot, and it still isn't quite there. Tips of the wings do extend out a little bit more. It's an enormous set. It really is bigger than I thought it would be. I don't know what the wingspan is, maybe sort of 1.5-ish. You know, it's got some serious size to it, and it's a really well put together model. It was a great build, and I can't say enough about the stands that it comes with. It's kind of like a UCS set in that way, like an unofficial UCS set with this enormous stand, which actually includes a turntable, so the whole thing can rotate. Means you can have it either kind of flying upwards, so you get that kind of position from the front. I can just spin it all the way around, or as I had it before, you can have it pointing downwards, or even kind of banking to the side as it turns, so there's really a lot of options for display. It doesn't come with a kind of UCS style plaque, but I'm guessing that the reason for that was so that you could display it, you know, facing forward or backward, because it is on that angle, so I can forgive them that. The stand doesn't use a huge number of pieces either, which is good. It's the last thing you build, which is kind of interesting. Let me just see if I can pop this off here without too much trouble. There we go. So it's just secured by 4 Technic axles, which are anchored into this turntable. Pop that to one side. And those actually go into 4 bricks with Technic holes. You can see them 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's very secure. You wouldn't want to hold it upside down by the stand, but it isn't really going anywhere. So there we go. Now it's down on the table. We can get a better angle, come in a little bit closer. Might as well start at the front. So this is obviously the cockpit. This is where the characters will sit. The choice of purple for it is a little unusual. I would have maybe gone for either trans clear or trans black / brown, but purple is decent and it definitely stands out against the orange. As you can see, the dominant colour is orange, so it's nice to have a bit of variety. There's 2 ways that you can open this up. Either you can just swing it open, as the canopy has a bar attachment and you start to see inside, or you can actually swing the entire front up a pretty decent way and get a look inside there. Don't worry, there are other ways to look inside. And here we have spaces for 2 minifigs, and the way that they suggest is if you put Star-Lord in the second seat. There we go, he can sit down, and then Rocket, minus his massive gun, he can stand on the front there, and then this should, yep, that closes absolutely perfectly. And you can see there are a couple of trans pink slopes for controls there. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Despite its size, it's not technically minifig scale, because the ship in universe has seats side by side and then a single seat at the front for the pilot. But it's a pretty good attempt, and any bigger than this and it was going to start costing way more than it does. And that's another thing to mention just before we go on, the price of this set. So this comes with, I think, 1,901 pieces, and here in the UK its full retail price is 130 quid, which is already pretty impressive. If this was a Star Wars set, for instance, which it does remind me quite a lot of, like a Star Wars UCS set, then it would probably cost 180, maybe £200 for this set, for that number of pieces, and probably wouldn't include as many as 6 minifigs. Added to that, when I actually bought this set, it was on sale, so I only paid £105 for it, which is a pretty good saving, and I've seen it fairly recently for under £100 here. So for, you know, nearly 2,000 pieces for £100, that is exceptional value. So if you can get it for any less than that, then you're getting an absolute bargain. But anyway, moving onwards, it's got some fantastic detailing, all this brick-built colour blocking, using a lot of the 45-degree cut 2x2 tiles, going all the way down there and all the way down there. Also makes use of wedge plates at slightly less sharp angles. Some fantastic attachments to get these pieces angled on here. These are the angled edges of these wedges in here, and then this is clipped in here using some bars and clips and jumpers to get this at a slight downward angle. You can see there's a little bit of flex in it, but this is tilting down ever so slightly and obviously is on that angle too. There's a lot of very clever snot building in here, and you know, it all comes together pretty amazingly. Like this, for instance, this is the front. This bit is obviously the bit that hinges, and that's where it all seals up alongside these wedge plates. And obviously, apart from the very bottom where there's a slight gap, this is all perfect here, despite the fact that things are built in completely different directions. The main hull of the ship is pretty weighty before you even add the wings on, so it's very structurally sound, and it includes a lot of snot bricks and brackets on the outside, so all of this detailing along the outside is fixed on its side. These are the sort of engine intakes, I suppose, as are these. I'll just flip the entire thing upside down so you can see the construction. Yes, there are the undersides of plates along here, but actually the colour blocking is pretty consistent all the way across. So, you know, if you're displaying it and looking up at it, you know, so if it's tilted up like that, you're not going to see unusual colours or anything like that. It's pretty nicely blocked out. just while I've got it upside down, or when you can see the underside, these are the sort of repulsor lift engines here, made using these sort of trans blue rather, sorry, and opalescent dish pieces. They're just fixed on using a modified plate with a Technic pin. They just clip in there. There's one on either side, and smaller boat shoe pieces in there. We get quite a lot of those in trans blue here. And then looking over the top surface again, you can see there's some variation side to side. The colours aren't exactly the same. Some of these slopes are in different places. This is obviously a standout detail, which is a 3x3 round tile. So it looks pretty good all the way round. And then we come around to the back, just trying not to knock anything off while I'm at it. And we get these two massive booms at the back with more of those 2x2 round shoe or boat pieces at the back. And the main feature of this is that although they can be in this configuration, they can also spread apart like that. And not only that, but there are various flaps and surfaces and things which can open up. It's the same on both sides. So basically, depending on how you want this to be flying, you can open these up. I think this is kind of its more casual pose. And then when it kind of goes to light speed, to borrow a Star Wars term, these all close up, and then that gives it that extra boost of power. You can see there's also more trans blue details inside here. So there's a tile there, another tile here, more flaps here, more flaps here. There's loads of stuff that basically opens up. You can make things look really dynamic. You can, you know, move half the stuff out and make it look like that's air brakes, although I know that wouldn't really work in space, but you can make it look like that's air brakes as it's banking. So lots of really great stuff, all mirrored on both sides. Some fantastic detailing like these linkages here, which move as you open. So yeah, some really great details all round. There isn't really a surface of this that isn't massively detailed, and that continues on the inside as well. First of all, we've got these trans clear pieces here, which I think represent either a sort of top or back window, or possibly the top or back of the escape pod that Thor, Rocket and Groot originally take to Nidavellir, which I really hope I pronounced right, and that's a really great detail. Doesn't come with a detachable escape pod, but that's absolutely fine. And we can also start to open some of these panels. So there's a panel there and a second bigger panel there. And that's what's going to give us our access to the interior. Now, it's a little tricky to see. Just see if I can adjust my light to see inside. Yeah, there we go. It'd help maybe if I open that up as well. So you can see the front two seats there, and then behind them there are two seats just there, so you can have two characters facing one another. And then there is actually quite a decent amount of space at the back there for characters to stand. It's quite difficult to get access to it. The product images are perhaps a little bit misleading, but there's a decent amount of detail in there. There's a sticker of Gamora on a screen just there, along with a donut for Thor. There's a coffee machine complete with red coffee cup. Feels like we are in a city set at the moment, and lots of great greebly detail all down the back. It's really fun to put together. It's almost a shame that it's hidden away quite so much when you finally build it, but it does look pretty good. There's also a few clips inside here where you can attach various weapons. So for instance, you could try and attach Rocket's weapon like that, and that's going to stay out of the way. So yeah, there's a, this is primarily a display model, even though it is fairly swooshable. I'm holding it with one hand, I can swish it about. You maybe wouldn't want to get a small child to do that, but this is a display model, so it's cool that it's got an interior. If this was a Star Wars set, it probably wouldn't have an interior. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. It's cool to build, but if you're looking for a set with a interior, and that's really what you're angling after, I would probably suggest trying to mock one up yourself. However, if what you want is a really cool display piece, then I would definitely go for this one. So yeah, there we go. That's pretty much it. Realised I haven't really taken a breath the whole time I've been doing this. Just really wanted to get through and show you all the features. So that is the set. The only other things I haven't shown you are the obligatory piece separator, the bag of spare parts. Obviously I've put them in the bag there, so all the parts you would expect, although it does come with one of the two long bars there, so if that's something you're interested in, then you can check that out. So there we go. That is the Guardian's ship, or the Benetar. I get why they didn't call it the Benetar. That would probably have been a little bit confusing, similarly to how the Mjolnir set has just been called Thor's Hammer. So there we go. That is the set. I would show you the box as well. In fact, let me show you the box. I've got it just to the side of me here. It's the standard kind of box you'd expect. It's quite thin. If I just put it on the side view, oh, that really doesn't work. Should have thought about that. Yeah, side view there. It's not bad at all. The Infinity Saga branding, which does look pretty cool with all these kind of comic book designs and things. The set looks great on the box. Yeah, the only thing I would say that could really improve it is if there'd been a full complement of Guardians. I think it's a real shame we're missing Drax and Gamora, obviously. Though Gamora I can kind of excuse. If you're going to be having Thor here, then I suppose this comes from the end of Endgame, where she's not part of the Guardians, because she's, first of all, dead, and second of all, the alternate version of her has gone off somewhere. So, spoilers if you haven't seen that film. Or either of those films. But Drax being missing, cue the customary jokes about him being in So Still He's Invisible. But it's a bit odd that he's not in this set, especially considering he's only appeared in a couple of sets previously. So if you want to get your hands on him, he's a little bit pricey. But anyway, this is a phenomenally good set for the value. It's been beautifully designed. I'm just sorry that I'm not going to be keeping it. I know, even after gushing at it like this. I bought it because I really wanted to build it. I thought it looked like a lot of fun, and it really was. But in terms of displaying it, I'm just not going to get the enjoyment out of displaying it that I thought I might. And to be honest, I'm perfectly happy to pay, a little bit off the top to build it and then send it on to someone who's going to appreciate it more. So yeah, this will not be staying in the Lego room, unfortunately. However, I did have a fantastic time building it, and I look forward to somebody else being able to build it again. So thanks very much for watching. I've tried not to ramble on too long, although I'm sure it hasn't worked. If you've enjoyed the video, then please leave it a like down below. Leave me a comment and let me know what you thought of this set. And if you want to support me, there are a couple of links down below, like I mentioned, and I will see you again very soon.